on patrol with Brazilian forces in Port-au-Prince's poorest neighborhood. The sprawling slum of Cité Soleil is a red zone for many international aid workers. These soldiers the most visible daily sign of the UN's presence here. For Captain Hercules Pedrosa, the neighborhood's history of gang violence means that if his troops were to leave, chaos and lawlessness would take their place.
Era uma região que nós conquistamos com tiros e sangue. Não compete a mim saber quanto tempo a ONU tiene que darse acá. Pero se salir ahora, teremos problema.
Cité Soleil still bears scars from gun battles waged between UN troops and armed gangs when the soldiers first arrived after the coup ousting Haitian President Jean-Bertrand Aristide in 2004. No one knows exactly how many Haitian civilians were caught in the crossfire. Mercius Lubin and his wife Marie-Danielle lost their 2 daughters when shooting erupted after their house was surrounded by UN troops late one night in 2007.
Ils ont même qui venaient avec 4 chats. Ils mettaient dans 2 cailles là. Ils ont tiré sur caille là. Ils ont tiré celle qui a tiré, pas dire l'autre qui a tiré encore.
Well, this is the shelter that was sprayed with gunfire, and you can see the holes in the wall here where the wood that had bullet holes in was actually taken away by UN troops for further investigation. And the family insists that when the gunfire started, it was coming from this direction where there were UN troops parked on that road. A UN investigation cleared the troops of any direct responsibility for the deaths, but there have been other complaints of human rights violations by UN forces over the years. And on the streets of Port-au-Prince, the perception, at least, of UN peacekeepers as an occupation force here on a pretext that without their presence, Haiti would descend into violence.
You'd believe that we are savages, you know, just waiting to get into an orgy of violence. But the reality completely undermines this theory. Remember, they were predicting that after the earthquake, all hell would break loose, and it never happened.
When the 7.2 magnitude quake hit Haiti in January, burying hundreds of thousands of people under rubble, the UN's first response was to flood the streets with armed troops. Rather than search and rescue, the focus of UN peacekeepers in those early days appeared for the most part to be crowd control. And in devastated neighborhoods around the capital, it seemed Haitians were often left to fend for themselves in the aftermath of one of the worst disasters in modern history. Nearly 9 months later, for many not much has changed. At least 1.3 million people are still living in squalid camps, exposed to the elements, disease and hunger. Meanwhile, the latest UN budget request has risen to more than $800 million to fund extra troops to prevent political instability during election season. A cost Ban Ki-moon's representative in Haiti says is money well spent.
Providing that kind of political and social stability so far has generated many other opportunities for Haitians in jobs, etc. And as I said before, everything was going quite well by the end of 2009, and then we had the earthquake. So we have to start, almost from zero again.
But back in Cité Soleil, the benefits of having had a multi-billion-dollar mission here for more than 5 years are hard to see. And for community organizers, the lack of basic services, chronic child malnutrition, and a life expectancy of less than 50 years is a failure for which the UN must take its share of the blame.
Tout corps qui te kon travail de conseil avec population en dans pays yo krasé yo quitté pays comme ça seulement ministère pas apporter solution.
With world leaders in New York last week to discuss global problems at the UN's headquarters, helping Haiti was high on the agenda. But for residents of Cité Soleil, it didn't take an earthquake to show that what's been achieved so far simply isn't working.